hell? Gee, Christ, get up. Get both of you.
Jackson, it's a joke.
Saturday, 9 a.m. Detention, 1 minute late, and you're suspended.
What?
That's not fair.
This isn't a democracy. Get the fuck up and apologize to Allison.
Blast off.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Halloween Month and a Half. We continue our little journey, and we always like to pepper in a slasher because we know what Ciaran's favorite subgenre is.
Romantic comedy?
Slasher. Oh, yeah, that's it. Fuck that. All right. So I wanted to pick something that was a COVID child, something that was filmed during COVID and kind of got lost in the shuffle. I remember watching it a couple years back, and I was like, yeah, I rather enjoyed this. You have this, Founders Day come out around Thanksgiving time, like the movie Thanksgiving, not actual Thanksgiving. And it has a mass killer in it. It's got all my, it's got everything I like, and it's got gore. So I watched it, and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to reintroduce it to all you guys and see if you liked it. I watched it again a couple times for the podcast this time. It doesn't hold up as well as I thought it did, but it still has some stuff going for it as we talk Founders Day.
Okie dokie.
Ooh. Okie dokie, that's what you're at. You don't shut your fucking mouth up through all the Mad Maxes, all about fucking Neighbors and fucking Home and Away. But we talk Founders Day, all I get is okie dokie.
Well, did you notice that one of the townsfolk actually, whenever they're holding the town meeting,
Shut up.
No, I'm only joking.
I was waiting for that one. So I wanted to kind of go into this one a bit. I thought it was a little more clever. Here's funny, we like to do some research on some of the films that we talk about. As you know, we're not always geniuses. We know everything. We do have to research stuff.
Obviously.
And well, you do. I don't.
Well,
I know most of it already.
I keep you right, along with your research.
So Founders Day was directed by a talented filmmaker, Eric Blomquist.
He's also in it.
No, Blomquist. He's actually an actor by trade, and then he does some directing. This is kind of his bigger budget, kind of, I guess you can say. Otherwise, he does a lot of shorts and some a little more minor independent stuff.
This does
he's also
feel very crowdfunded, and I believe it was crowdfunded type.
It wasn't.
Oh, wasn't? Well, right.
I thought it was. Mm-hmm. I thought that myself. I looked it up, and I couldn't find any research on it. I thought it was crowdfunded, but there's another one that came out at the same time that was crowdfunded, but it wasn't this one.
Yeah. He's as an actor, he's actually one of the best in it. He plays Oliver, the sidekick to the mayor.
Yes. Yeah, he's one of those guys who directs and acts, and he's in it. He's got it's not a cameo, it's a pretty big part, but he's got more street cred as an actor than he is as a director. So it shows here because he's one of the better actors here. I think what we're going to about talk about is I like the idea of it, the concept of it, but seeing the twist at the end had some. We'll dive into it.
I pretty much think I know what you're going to say, and I think I'm going to agree because I have quite a lot of issues, but it's not all bad, I have to say.
Yeah. So the one thing it has going for it, it's a political slasher. Those two words usually aren't,
it's satirical.
Usually, it's usually there's these two words, political slasher, aren't usually used in the same sentence. All right, so we got Allison, Adam, Mr. Jackson, Miss Gladwell, the Commissioner, Lily, Melissa and Harold Faulkner, Thomas, Rob, Oliver, Deputy Adam, and we got Mr. Chambers, Britt, and Tyler. So they pretty much kind of went with the Scream trope. Even the music had a very Scream vibe to it.
They've even got a stand-in for Deputy Dewey, and there's even a scene at the start, towards the start, where it basically completely mirrors, Billy and Stu messing about in the school corridors with these. No, it's not actually Billy and Stu. It's another dipshit student in Scream who is joking around with the Scream outfit on.
Yeah, you're talking about Britt and Tyler, the jokesters of the movie.
Yes, the idiots. Well, they're all idiots technically, but
I actually like how they handle that scene, and we'll dive into it. But it opens up pretty much. You see some tension between the father. The father is Mr. Faulkner, and he's running for mayor. He's going up against a mayor who's obviously the current mayor, Mrs. Gladwell, and you can see some bickering and fighting going on. And so, there's some hostility there. And this is where we meet Melissa. And we find out pretty quickly that Melissa is a lesbian. And she's dating quietly our lead, Allison.
Yes.
And we also meet Rob and Lily. And Rob is dating Lily, but Lily was actually originally dating Adam, Melissa's brother. And Lily is now regretting dating Rob. We'll get a little further into that. So what they try to do within the first 10 minutes, and they actually do it well. They're not trying to they're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything, but you kind of know the key characters pretty quick. And the good slasher film, Scream does it all the time. You know the central characters pretty quick. And it's simple. But the difference between Scream and this film
is the execution.
Well, pardon the pun, but not necessarily execution. Melissa, Rob, Adam, and Lily, they don't hold a candle to the team of Scream. And what I mean by that, the acting is far superior.
Yeah, and also the ones here, they've no real presence. I would say as well that while the script has some pretty decent ideas knocking about, a lot of the dialogue that these younger characters are given is very flat and not so much wooden, but just quite uninteresting. And it doesn't...
Well,
yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, to piggyback on what you're saying, this is a political... It's a satire, technically.
Yeah.
Satirical, that is. And if their rhyme and reason for why the killings are happening, you figured their dialogue would be a little more impressive.
It doesn't jump off it doesn't leap off out of their mouths or leap off the screen, and obviously not off the page either. It's just, I think, yes, the acting's not great, but it's a slasher. Come on, you're not going to get great acting anyway. But I think
I get that. Yeah. I get that, and we always have that discussion. Yeah, it gets away with it, but I can't with this one, because if you're going to start mimicking and wink at the audience and let them know, hey, we like Scream and these other, like, I Know What You Like Summers and Screams and so forth. You got to back it up. And if you're also going to do a political slasher, the dialogue needs to be a little more adult.
And snappier and also funnier and quirkier, and also with Scream, you've characters like Randy, you've Stu, and obviously the acting's a big part of them as well. The performances by Lillard and stuff, and Jamie Kennedy and stuff, where they're they're unforgettable. Even Courtney Cox's Gail Weathers, Deputy Dewey and stuff. This is just pale imitation of that sort of gang in a slasher film.
Yeah, it's missing that quick wit and clever banter.
Yes.
And I think that sums it up pretty good. Quick wit and clever banter. Now, but again, it's like you said, it is a slasher. So, all right, you give me some killing, I'll be okay with it.
The kills in this are decent.
Yes, the killings, they get away with it. We're going to jump in the beginning when Melissa asks Allison, she tells her, I love you, and she can't say it yet because Allison is kind of teetering where she wants to go with her sex life, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
She's in that stage. And then obviously the headlights kick in on the bridge, and Melissa's a little more aggressive than Allison, as I just mentioned, especially about her feelings toward Allison. So she's going to be more of the confrontational one of them.
Yes.
So it is a nice little planting of the seed there. Now I might be grasping at straws. They probably didn't think I was, I'm probably giving it more credit than where credit's due. But obviously Melissa then goes to the man who's kind of blinding, kind of spying on them with the big headlights, and she is killed by this man in the mask, this Founders Day mask. I guess you can say it's a judge, is the costume, and he chucks her over the bridge. Now, I think a lot of people are catching the twist. I actually didn't. The only thing I thought of, something's not right here, but I didn't catch the twist. And quite frankly, seeing it again, obviously I know the twist, seeing it again, but I want to hit myself in the face to saying I should have caught this.
Well, I didn't quite catch it, but I knew something was up with this opening scene and her killing. The reason being, after the credits, after this sequence, later on, you find out the twist, right? But it was also like, where's her body? You know, you don't see a body or a funeral or anything like that. There's a lot of plot holes here.
Well, no, they play that okay, and we'll get a little deeper there in a second. But they do plant the seed a little bit, and little things I never caught, like when they're on that bridge and you take a lock and you lock it together, and it's a symbol of your love. And what Melissa does is locks her to the bridge, Allison,
Yes.
so she can't really get away. So what she's about to witness, she kind of has to witness it, because technically right now she's trying to get away from the lock. So it takes her a while, but it forces her to witness the killing, which she has to be there for. So it is a nice planting the seed by Melissa doing
I
that.
get it, but it does have flaws as well, the plan, which whenever we reveal the twist, which is we're sort of pretty much suggested now anyway, I do have, I'm going to pick bits and pieces.
Okay, and that's fine. When we get to the big finale, I get it. But the reason I only bring it up is because, again, well, they did plant the seed.
Yes, it's a decent planting of the seed, but I don't think it's 100% pulled off. But like a lot of this film, there is a lot of decent stuff here, but it all boils down to execution and editing. There's poor editing here, and yeah, I think it's too long as well. It's like almost 2 hours, and this should have been just a much snappier, like 85 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. No, it does drag a little bit, and a lot of scenes seem repetitive.
Yes.
You got the town folk; they're all protesting, all 6 of them, and. But I do like the intro. After Allison does escape from that little lock, after witnessing Melissa's death, she runs into the town. These people are protesting, and she goes in the middle of these people who are picketing. Obviously, it's Founders Day weekend, and it's political time. And obviously, you've got people on one side of the fence, the other side of the fence. So you got this little mosh pit of anger, and then she goes in the middle, screaming. She just witnessed her friend, or potential lover, pretty much be killed, and she looks up screaming, and then that's when the titles start. I do like this whole introduction, which the way most slasher films do. They'll give you a 15-minute intro and then throw the titles at you.
The Scream films. I would say that scene where all the townsfolk all gather round her, I think overall this film massively misses a trick by not having the trope of the townsfolk turning on each other properly. They do a bit, but they don't go full on. And I think they really miss a trick with that. Yes, it's a trope. It's a bit of a cliche. It's done very well in the second rebooted Halloween film from recent years, Halloween Kills. Done very well. I know a lot of people have criticised that film, but I actually really liked it, especially that aspect of it. So I think they definitely missed the trick by not having the town full on go up against each other.
You had to have that, and that's a flaw in the film, because it's Mr. Jackson's rhyme and reason. It's tough talking about this film, guys, without giving stuff away. So
yes,
this
will be spoiler filled.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think they fucking care. But Mr. Jackson is the perfect example.
Who creepy Poundland George Lucas? Yeah.
Who?
The teacher, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson? He's a good actor. I like William.
No, I'm just talking about the way he looks. He looks.
I don't know. Well, he's gray hair and a beard.
He looks a bit like Joe. He just reminded me of like a creepy George Lucas.
When you get to the reveal, you needed more scenes with the town folk are turning on each other. Maybe even getting a little being maybe a scene of the cops arresting these guys, because the cops were involved.
Yes.
So you should have had a scene where the deputies arresting people for beating the shit out of each other. You needed some kind of political outrage going on here, and we got it by a couple picketers, because what Mr. Jackson goes through and what he does to plan all this, it seems like you needed a little more. What was going on in the town? Was there misappropriated funds? Was there bribes going on?
There was.
You needed more of this for his rhyme and reason for what he does.
There was that stuff going on, but it's just never fully elaborated on. And it boils down to the major problem I find with this film is the lack of tension and drama, where the likes of Scream and such, do have that.
Yeah, I mean, even when the killing really starts happening, and it doesn't happen until about 35 minutes into it. So that's the problem you have. You have a slasher film, you supposedly see Melissa get it in the beginning, then you got 35 more minutes until we see Lily get it in the theater, which I thought was clever. But the problem by this time, if you're going to spend 35 minutes and you needed more political, I understand we understand that Gladwell and Faulkner are assholes.
Yes.
The whole point is that there's no such thing as a decent politician, and actually they're right about that.
Yeah, it's essentially saying that, you know, doesn't matter which way you vote, you're still going to get an asshole, which I've come as I've got older to realize very much from all sides of the political spectrum. It doesn't matter who you vote for, you're still going to get an asshole who's going to promise you the world before they get elected. Then when they get elected, it's back to the same old shit. Back to normal. And, you know, the people getting fucked over and all the rest. That's good commentary, but they don't elaborate on it enough.
Yeah, they don't, and there's not enough planting of that seed to really, you know, all I saw was bickering between Gladwell and Faulkner.
Yeah.
And after Melissa's missing, they never find her body. That was the whole point. So she was never really declared dead. And Faulkner is, you think at first, oh, he's, you know, to Gladwell, you're using my daughter's missing as your blah, blah campaign letter. But then he ends up doing the same thing. They're both just ugly human beings. But at the end of the day, it's just two political assholes. And I get so many questions like, Mr. Jackson, why didn't you just run yourself?
Yeah.
You're a light guy.
Exactly.
You would probably got it.
Yeah.
You know?
Ultimately, it's the realization and the writing of the characters that's the problem here. Because come back to Scream, you know, brilliant characters, totally memorable characters, but also characters you very much like and empathize with. So whenever, I'll give you an example, Scream 2, whenever Randy gets it in Scream 2, you're fucking heartbroken. And you know what I mean? It's not Randy, anyone but Randy, you know. And I think actually Wes Craven at the time of its release received a lot of hate mail over that. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, obviously. But my point is, with the Scream films, you have these great characters, memorable characters that you really like and sort of, you know, you're rooting for. And that's actually one of the flaws of the newer Scream films, actually, where they're nowhere near as good as the original cast. But here, I didn't either like or give a shit about any of the characters. Not one of them, you know? Not enough.
Yeah,
not enough
that's down to
where I would root for them or actually give a shit whenever they die. In fact, whenever they do die, I'm just hoping for a good creative death scene for them, at very least, you know? Like compensation.
It's, yeah, the scene where Lily's dealing with making out with Rob, but she wants Adam back. And so you're supposed to kind of feel sorry for her. She doesn't know where her love wants to go. And she's trying to text him to get Adam back. And she's cleaning up the theater and you're supposed to feel sorry for her. And then, no, that's the whole point though. Yeah. You're supposed to, because she gets it quite brutally. And I love it when she gets it during, let's all go to the lobby. Yes. Let's all go. I love that trailer when I was a kid in the movie theater. But as that trailer's playing, she gets maced in the eyes, breaks her knee cap, then shatters her hand, and then cuts her throat. It's a brutal little death. But again, you sort of went, oh, no, I kind of liked her. You're like, I just want to see a good killing at this point.
I was just indifferent. It's not that I hated the characters. I was just indifferent to them. Especially her boyfriend, you know, that plebe who's like supposed to be like Billy Loomis. He's the Billy Loomis.
Rob.
Yeah.
He's Rob. He's the red herring.
Yeah, obviously. You know what I mean? He had red herring written all over him. He's just an absolute dipshit. And there's a scene later on when the police are searching for him. And this shows you how sort of badly edited and put together some of this is, where he's literally hiding behind a tree, you know, in the montage sequence.
I saw that.
Yeah. And he's literally hiding behind a tree, and there's like this massive search party out for him, and not one of them noticed him hiding behind a single tree. Give me a break. It's little details like this that are important. And I'm not a filmmaker, you know.
But there's some positives here, yeah. Like the Tyler, you know, the Tyler of the gang, who Britt and Tyler, they're always kind of the jokesters, and they actually, you mentioned it, they dressed up like, you know, in the costume, and they pretend to kill one another or whatever. He's the killer, and he kills Britt, and Allison jumps in to save her, and think he's gonna, it's fake, it's set up.
Yeah.
They're just there to scare Allison. But then Mr. Jackson comes up, and I like the fact that he goes, "Get the fuck up and apologize to Allison."
Well,
I like that, and that was showing he's of all the characters, he's the most likable, which is kind of, I give it somewhat of a pass on that, because the ending, you kind of want him to get away with it because you do like the character, because he does have good.
and that scene is a total
Sort
lift from Scream, where the Fawns, Henry Winkler, gives the dipshits who do it in Scream detention as well.
Yeah.
Or I think he expels them, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, he expels them. But I just think the time of the incident, I thought I went with it. I was okay with it. Now, it does have some positives here. Lily's death. I didn't understand
Harold's death's the best, I think.
I didn't. What was London Bridges falling down? They had these iron bars will bend and break. My Fair Lady.
None of that even makes sense.
Yeah. It was based on the nursery rhyme. London Bridges falling down, and then you had roses red, violets are blue. Was that just
none of it makes sense? It was just another sort of quirkiness to the killer, and a lot of it doesn't even make sense in terms of, did the killer really have time to make all of these letters and posters and stuff? It's just added in. It's thrown in, and it's completely unnecessary. And it doesn't work. It doesn't make anything creepier. It doesn't make. It's just annoying.
I do like when Lily's, still before her death, she's like, "Oh God, I love Adam, but do I like Rob?" Right? Yeah. And Rob, for the whole fucking party scene, is right in the corner, right next to them. And then Lily's like, "Oh, Adam, what's going on? I miss you, blah, blah, blah." And poor Rob's in the corner just sitting there drinking his vodka. Yeah. And then Adam chucks off and leaves. And Lily's still texting Adam as he walks out the fucking door. And Rob goes, "You're just a whore.
I know.
You're a fucking whore. Why don't you go to him and suck the sadness out? Once you fuck him."
Yeah.
And then the next scene, we're supposed to be like, "Yeah, go, Rob, you can make it."
No, it's very uneven in terms of characterization, if you can even call it characterization. And I did quite like Melissa's brother. He's quite a good character, and I thought it was a good sort of to have him when he pops up as
Adam.
Yes, Adam, as one of the killers.
Yeah. Yeah, he was always one of the supposed guilty parties, the gunman going into a school in a TV series called 13 Reasons Why.
Right.
So he kind of plays the same character.
He's decent in this. I think he's one of the actually.
He's playing what he played at 13.
Jackson, I think they're probably the two best characters.
Now, I do like when Britt and Tyler get it and this is what it has going for it. Halfway through the film, these two get it. Thank God, for fuck's sake.
Annoying. They're absolute dipshits.
So annoying.
I mean, if I knew them in real life, you'd be tempted to kill them yourself.
Oh, yeah. But Allison tells her dad that I left something in my locker. So she goes, but as they're being killed, she hears something, obviously. And she goes, walks into the classroom, and there, boom, the killer's exposed. It's Adam, and he's writing, on the chalkboard, a nursery rhyme reflecting what just happened. I think it was Jack and Jill.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, this isn't what it looks like."
to be fair, it isn't. But yeah. And then he runs out and gets killed by the dad.
Yeah. And a couple of people actually get, like Adam, get killed by campaign posters.
Yes.
Or campaign stakes.
With a bit of maybe commentary
put the posters on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets it. So I do like the fact, okay, there's another one, because you pretty much given away the twist right there. But now there's something else is going on, so we're looking for another killer. So instead of reveal all the two killers like they usually do in films, you reveal there's one killer who's already been caught, and now there's another one roaming. Which I did kind of like that. Something different, at least.
I get that they were trying to do something different, and in ways they do, but it's again back to the poor realization of it.
Yeah, but I'm entertained. I mean, I see this as better as a lot of slasher films that come out. So one of the reasons I picked it was it got like a 4 out of 4.4, something like that. IMDb will say, and I don't get the hate. I mean, I understand. I think what we're talking about is pretty fair.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm going with it. It's got good gore. It's got couple of decent characters in it. And It's well shot. It's
It
competent.
has a decent mystery to it, like a whodunit. That's quite decent, because there was.
which is pretty big for a murder mystery slasher film.
And to be fair, completely fair, throughout it, I was trying to guess who was the killer. At first I thought it was Harold, Melissa's dad, and then it was sort of, it might be such and such. Melissa was one of the suspects as well, I must admit, and that's me not trying to be a smarter, but she was one of several suspects I had. So, there is, I wouldn't say it makes me sad, but a bit disappointed that it wasn't realised better overall, because there is some good ideas on the table here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the rhyme and reason why they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do put in some good banter, so you've got the horrible mayor, Gladwell, and she's giving this big speech, blah, 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 and we're gonna, and she's using Melissa's disappearance, to get elected.
Yes.
And she's giving the speech, and the cops go, "Oh, well, you just found her daughter's body," but they don't say that. It's all done by whispers, which I actually kind of liked. It goes from the cop to the deputy to Oliver, her campaign manager, and then the campaign manager walks over to her as she's giving the speech, whispers her in the ear, "We need to end this. There's been a body," and you can hear her going, "Who was it?" And then they cut to she's looking in the trash because that's where she was thrown in the bin, and she's screaming.
Yes.
And I do like the commissioner, the sheriff, I guess you could say, as she's screaming, she goes, "Oh, well, that's a positive identification."
I found that commissioner character quite annoying, where they try and throw in like Columboisms and stuff, and
yeah, that's what she was your Dewey.
yes, mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah, even though there's like another a Dewey there, basically a copy and paste Dewey there as well.
But he's more of a straight lay. He's more
competent than Dewey.
Competent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But she was just, the commissioner character, I just thought she was a bit, it didn't work for me, But, I did quite like the montage scene, even though we have dipshit hiding behind a tree and nobody sees him and stuff. I wasn't like emotionally sort of, broken bad, because it's meant to be sort of emotionally sort of powerful and stuff. It didn't really blow me away in that sense, but it works to a certain extent.
I think the scene, which is probably the biggest moment, and maybe I was a little harsh on it with the give us a more political agenda, is the office sequence, the showdown between Gladwell and Faulkner in her office. It's actually not a bad scene where you really see these people as scumbags.
Yeah.
Especially with Gladwell, even when Gladwell makes a comment, nothing feeds your nothing gets you sympathy like a dead kid, and then he starts. Faulkner even talks about, "Listen, I don't care about Melissa. She chose her path, but that Adam, why him?" Because at this point, he thinks that Gladwell's involved, and they start going at each other's throats. And then obviously the killer shows up. And I do like the deaths. I do love the fact he just jabs her right in the throat with the, it looks like it's a letter opener or a pen.
And then he uses the letter opener then to slice the shit out of Harold.
Yeah, he just fucking goes to town on him. And
but whenever we find out who the killer is, that actually makes a lot of sense and context, because it was basically Melissa, so it is, and he had rejected her because she was gay, she was a lesbian. Even the very first scene where that's
why he gets the most brutal.
Yes, exactly. So that makes sense that he gets it the most brutal, slicing the shit out of his face. But yeah, so again, that's another aspect that works. I'll give it to them.
See, that's what I'm saying. As you talk about it, like I kind of put down like, well, I need a more political blah, blah. Well, they did. Technically, they do it in that scene, how evil these two people are. So as I break it down, it does plant the seed quite well, I guess, on what's going on in the town. I just think for an hour and 50 minutes of a slasher, if you're not going to give us more killing, give us this before the killing starts. It makes more sense.
Again, more killing, more humor, more quirky characters. This is where it falls down, basically. And tension, obviously tension. There's a lack of tension. A complete lack of tension. I just didn't care.
Yeah, no. There's no gas moments or anything like that. this is not what this film does, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the director kind of learning his trade, and that's fine. Teething era, he's gonna have what do you call it, teething mistakes as he's growing into it. But like the scene with Rob and Allison's at the bridge, and the deputy shows up, and he handcuffs Rob. Rob gets the gun and shoots the deputy, and the deputy's bleeding. And I actually kind of felt sorry for the deputy because at this point you didn't know who was involved.
Well, everyone's dying at this
I'm
point.
not stupid. I knew right away that the deputy was involved, but it's and then Allison won't release Rob because Rob looks guilty because he just killed the deputy, and she runs away and heads to her house.
I'll give this film credit for it having the balls to kill off seemingly important characters, such as the two politicians, although Melissa is obviously, it's a rug pull, but it does have, it's quite brave in sort of killing off quite big characters.
Yeah, it does. I do feel, though, I think they almost do it. Well, no, they get it pretty quickly. They get it near the end, really, when you think about it. They do that with Lily, for instance. Here's this girl who's trying to get Adam back, so they try to play that whole, this girl, made a mistake. She wants him back, blah blah. Then they'll hope they rectify it, and then she's the first one to actually get it. But in all fairness, they're really just here to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they killed both candidates at the same time, because if you keep one up and running, then that's going to be your go-to who did it.
And also, your pantomime villain as well, where it's like the one you love to hate. You said earlier on that they're evil people. I wouldn't quite call them evil. I'd just call them totally self-absorbed, selfish pricks, like most politicians.
I think all politicians. I think that's to me the definition of evil.
Yeah.
I don't like politicians.
Well, I'm not a fan myself, but yeah.
But yeah, Melissa is alive.
Yeah.
I do like the line she says. She looks at her, and she reveals it's her, and Alice stares at her, and Melissa just goes, "Take a second. I know it's a lot." I do like that line.
There's some lines that could have worked a lot better here, including that one. A lot of it's down to, I'm sorry, but not down to the delivery. Alison, her acting is, she's not a very good leading lady.
Yeah. Well, Allison, she's a blind actress. She was wrong for the part. But Melissa, you needed a little more craze out of
yes.
her. She's giving you
want
all
over
these
the
lines. Yeah, and she's giving you this monologue, and it should have been crazy. It should have been crazy, and her stammering. Give her something where she's just kind of losing the plot a bit, but she's just so smooth.
It's underplayed,
reserved, and
I don't buy her as a psychotic. I just buy her as a nice girl with, I don't know, the teenage drama in her life. I don't buy her as, like, say, somebody like Stu Macker and I've always loved you, Sydney. What? Totally so memorable. We're still talking about it 30 years later.
Well, this almost makes me feel that they should have reversed it, where Adam fakes his death and Melissa and the Allison thing, keep that going.
Yeah.
That's the way it should have been, rather than, because I think Adam, David Drew, I think the guy who plays him, is who could have pulled off, because the character's kind of reserved and quiet.
Yes, he's a better actor. He comes back. Well, I think.
And yeah, probably. And then when he is revealed, he could pull off psychotic better, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, she's just not, I just don't buy it. Whenever I was watching it, I just did not buy it, her as a psychotic. Where was the screaming over the topness, where the darkly humorous aspect of it? You didn't have any of that.
And then you had Mr. Jackson revealed as he's the puppeteer,
yes.
And he lets these two girls fight, which he needs to. We figure out why, because Mr. Jackson pretty much tries to kill Melissa.
He's orchestrated it all.
Yeah, he wants her dead. He wants Allison to be on his team. So when he tries to kill Melissa, obviously Melissa still survives, and her and Allison fight, and it's a great throat cutting. I like a good throat cutting.
Sick bastard.
But I just thought the fighting was like,
yeah. It was again lack of tension. It was just like I just didn't care. I was just like, hurry up and get this over and done with. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. Let's just say, I just didn't care. I would say that the twist of Mr. Jackson orchestrating it all was good and interesting. You know, the whole thing is basically, whether you agree with it or not, how basically the town is basically an allegory for America or any country. You know what I mean? Any country in the world has, you know, it has its history steeped in blood and stuff. So there's that allegory there. But again, the realization there was no real... I mean, yes, it's done subtly, that sort of allegory. It isn't sort of thrown in your face. But again, it boils down to the characters and stuff, where I was just not invested in them. Ultimately, any of them really. Yes, some are better than others, but yeah.
Well, he tells her that one of the reasons he wanted her because of her papers, as he writes.
Yes.
And he gives her the paper, The Lines of Succession, one of her last papers that she wrote. And I could be wrong. She says it's because if the office of mayor, while they are mayor, becomes vacant, whether it's death or whatever happens, the longest current resident takes over automatically.
Yes, that's right. It's like but not resident. It's like the member of the council. So.
Oh, okay. I missed that part. Okay, I knew it was longest 10 years.
You know the way they would have like a council, a sitting council of like the sort of basically the hierarchy of a town. That's what I'm taking from it. I don't know the full ins and outs of it, of small town American politics, but yeah, it's basically, apparently they had something written in their sort of Bill of Rights where it says the longest serving member of the council would then take over.
Yeah, it was the tricentennial they were talking about or something like that. I can't remember what they're talking about. It's in there. But here's what I think's funny. So you have the deputy of the police, you've got Adam, you've got Melissa, you've got Oliver,
yes,
who's the campaign manager, and you have Jackson himself. Well, you're a smart man, Jackson. You couldn't get these people just to go, hey, why don't you come and do a campaign with me? You pretty much have half the town in your pocket. No, we're decided, let's kill
It's
him.
a completely convoluted way of being elected, let's just say. Yeah, completely. But then, yeah, maybe he didn't have faith that he would be popular enough to win an election. Who knows? I do like the final sort of twist in a way where it's basically where there is some of Alison, for example, especially knows exactly what's happened, but she plays along, and I think that's a commentary how people will know that their country or whatever has a dark past, but they'll say nothing and play along and just get on with things in the meantime anyway.
What's the form? They're almost hypocrites.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's saying.
So
yeah.
So you're talking about it's 1 year later, and they kind of play on that. Jackson's now the mayor, and Allison's running for junior president in whatever, I think, school or college, wherever she's at. But I do like when he's giving his speech, her speech mirror images
because
his.
they're the same. She's become, and it's actually a dark twist for her character, where it's for her own self-serving reasons. And for him, well, he was self-serving in the first place, but it's how politics corrupts and how she's become corrupted, and she's prepared to sort of brush the past and all the darkness of the past and the killings and the blood onto the carpet, and everything goes back to normal, and people get on with their lives, and maybe their lives do improve in certain bread and butter ways, but for their own self-serving reasons, they'll play the game of politics.
Yeah. But so as we talk about it in the beginning of the podcast, after just viewing it a couple more times, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not into it as much. Now the movie's got flaws, like I said, but as talking about it, and when I reveal more that I might have missed or forgot about, I do think it's a lot more clever than we're giving it credit for. But what hurts it is there's no tension, and the characters are quite bland.
I agree, and I think it all just boils down to other aspects like writing. Again, with the writing, there's some very, very cool and interesting ideas going on in the script, but things like the dialogue is just uninteresting. The characters are uninteresting, but there is some good stuff that, maybe in a better pair of hands, would have been much more competent. Eli Roth would have done a much better job. Not even Wes Craven. Someone like Eli Roth would have made this much more interesting. With Thanksgiving, at least you had characters that were a bit larger than life, like the Dick and stuff, like the jock and all that there.
Yeah, but you got to realize, too, this is kind of a big outing for this director. So I'm going to give them a pass on that just because, like I said, it's he's learning as it goes. And it could be budgetary, what he had to work with, what the casting agent can give him. There's so many different things. But I think what he had to work with, it kind of worked a little bit. So I like to see what he does next.
Yeah, well, I mean, I the way on Amazon, I went to watch this on Amazon. I would usually rent. But I actually bought this because I like to support indie filmmakers, indie sort of writers and all that sort of thing. So while I maybe wouldn't watch it again, I don't regret buying it, let's just say. And that's not meant to sound condescending. I just, I get that there's some good stuff going on here and, good ideas, let's just say, but the realization in a lot of aspects, including editing, is poor.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. But again, for a slasher film, this isn't as half bad as what people are thinking it is.
I mean, for people to hate on it, but that's the internet for you, these days.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
Not even real hate.
I guarantee
it's manufactured hate.
Yeah,
keyboard warrior nonsense.
Well, there you go, guys. Give it a check out. Founders Day. It's an afternoon. Check it out. You guys like slasher fans? You'll enjoy it. I can't see it not really. But there you have it. Next up, we're finally going to get to Salem's Lot. Dun, 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 dun. We are going to have that little discussion next week. And then we got the two Beetlejuices. And then we're going to end with the Pete Atkins Wishmaster special. And I'll give you more details as that gets closer to the date and time. Anything you need to add,
No,
Trevor?
I'm all good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to wrap this one up. You take care of yourselves. And that's all I have to say. Because this took way too long to talk about Founders Day. 45 fucking minutes. I think it's my intros. They're usually like 25 minutes. All right, guys, we're wrapping this one up. Take care of yourselves. Be good.